If you always ask for someone else's opinion, even for small things like picking out an outfit or deciding what picture to post to Instagram, you always feel the need to call someone after going through negative emotions. You wait for others to tell you how you should feel about a certain situation, and your emotions depend on other people's opinions of you, then you need to watch this video. Because today we are talking about how to stop needing external validation and how to validate yourself instead. If we don't validate ourselves, we risk low self-esteem, dependence on external validation, insecurity, difficulty in all types of relationships, and a general lack of fulfillment. If we let other people's opinions of us matter more than our own, we're giving them control over us. This means that anything they say can bring us down. Is that something you want? It is crucial to acknowledge that our strengths, our accomplishments, and our worth are not dependent on external validation. We shouldn't need someone else to tell us that we are worthy or good enough or to affirm our value. By validating ourselves, we can build confidence, a stronger sense of self-worth, and we won't let others decide how we feel about ourselves. We take charge of our self-worth, feeling better about who we are and finding genuine happiness. First of all, we need self-awareness, which means understanding and acknowledging all of our thoughts and feelings. If you feel the need for external validation, if you cannot rely yet on your own validation, that is okay. It is not your fault. In most cases, it's a belief that gets created while growing up. At some point, we just start to believe that we need the validation of others or of academic success in order to make us feel good. Something just tells us that we need all of these different types of external validation to be worth it, while you should not beat yourself up over needing this external validation, and you should absolutely not think that it's your fault and feel bad for that. It is your responsibility to put in the work to become better and to get rid of this need for external validation. You are the only one who can change your own mentality. You are the only one who can take action and who can improve. So do not victimize yourself. Don't think that life is so unfair. Yes, life is unfair. We can do something about it. Just because you felt the need for external validation in the past doesn't mean it has to be like this in the future. So do not let your past dictate your future, and let's do something about it. Just the fact that you clicked on this video, that you're already here, that you're already listening, means you've already done the first step. You're already willing to change and to improve. That is such a big first step, and it is so important. And you've already done that. So the good news is you can change. Low self-esteem is something you can work on. You can change it, you can improve it. But you need to realize that you need to get uncomfortable and to put in the work. And at times that might be difficult. You can absolutely change and you can change your mindset, but it won't happen from one day to the next. So you need to make a commitment to yourself, and you need to keep that promise that you are gonna go on this journey of becoming a better version of you. It's gonna take some moments where you will be really uncomfortable and you might want to fall back into your old ways. And you need to be aware that it's gonna be difficult, but it's gonna be so worth it. If we want to be self-aware, we need to understand our emotions and we need to accept them. There is nothing wrong with being emotional, with feeling your emotions, and you shouldn't let other people tell you that it is wrong. Allow yourself to feel your emotions, and if you feel like you're getting overwhelmed by them, journal about them. Make sure that you have this space on paper where you can write down your emotions, you can write down how you feel, and that process is gonna help you clarify how you actually feel about something. You don't need to let others tell you how you should feel about something, because you already know how you feel about it. Deep down, you already know. You might just need a little bit of help of putting things onto paper, getting them out of your brain, not letting yourself get overwhelmed by them, and you're gonna realize that you already know how you feel about something. You already know what decisions you want to make. Putting things onto paper will give you a different perspective. But the best thing about this is it's still your own perspective, your own words, your own thoughts, but a bit more rational, a bit more clarified. So do not ever let someone tell you that you are too much or you feel too much. Don't let someone else make decisions for you because you're not sure how you feel about something. You know exactly how you feel. You just might need a little bit of help to clarify those thoughts. I love putting my thoughts down on paper because it helps me clarify my thoughts, but also it is such a valuable thing. Let me tell you why. Emotions are such a good indication of things that we might need to work on. For instance, if you feel bad or triggered in any way by something that someone does or says, that can tell you a lot about yourself. It's very clear that this thing that someone else is doing triggers a certain feeling, a certain emotion inside of you. And exploring that emotion a little bit closer can give you some really valuable answers about yourself. So letting ourselves feel our emotions and also deal with them is such a valuable way to get to know yourself better and to be more self-aware. And it can also help you figure out what the things you might need to work on a little bit more are. If, for instance, you notice that you always get triggered and you feel bad when someone gives someone else a compliment or someone says, "Oh, this woman is so beautiful." Well, that's not the fault of the person saying that someone else is beautiful. It is a you problem that you feel jealousy because someone else says that. Because rationally, why would you feel bad just because someone else is beautiful? You can be beautiful too. Someone else's beauty does not take away from your own. However, you might be triggered by this because of something that happened in the past or some limiting belief that you have about yourself. But that is something you can work on. Now that you figured out what this trigger is and why it's there, you can improve it. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe for more videos like this. Also, if you want to see the day-to-day stuff, follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. So I'll see you there. You need to get to know yourself better. We spend every single second of every single day with ourselves in our own mind, and sometimes we don't even know ourselves. We interact with ourselves through our thoughts on a daily basis. So wouldn't it be nice to make that a nice interaction instead of constantly putting ourselves down, making fun of ourselves, and just having constantly negative thoughts about ourselves? If you meet someone and you want to get to know that person better, you might go out on dates. And that's a great way to get to know someone. So why not do it with yourself? I truly love the idea of solo dates because you get to know yourself the same way you would do that with another person. It's so important to show ourselves the love that we would want from others. And to also show the self-acceptance that we want from others. By spending quality time with yourself, you can get to know yourself better. And I mean quality time, like don't be afraid to sit with your thoughts and just think. Don't be afraid to do activities by yourself, like going out to eat alone. You should be able to enjoy your own company so that you can accept yourself and also appreciate yourself. If you know yourself, no one else's opinion can affect you because it is simply just that, an opinion. People can only trigger insecurities that we haven't yet accepted or even discovered. If you accept yourself as a whole, truly, the way you are, people cannot trigger anything. If you know yourself and you are secure in who you are, people's opinions are just gonna be opinions that are not attached in any way to how you feel about yourself. You won't need their validation anymore. If someone says something that is not true, why would that bother you? If someone tells me I have blue hair, well, I don't. That might be their opinion. It's not true. Why would I be triggered or bothered by that? Sure, your opinion can be that I have blue hair. That's fine with me. I can go about my day. I don't need to feel bad about that. I don't need to overthink that. It's just an opinion. So if someone says you're lazy, no, you're not. You know how much work you put in on a day-to-day basis for work, for university, for any other side hustles or hobbies you might have. You know you're not a lazy person. So if they say you're a lazy person, that can be their opinion. That's fine. You know, you are not. Step number 2 is embracing yourself fully, including all of your imperfections and mistakes that you might make. If you accept yourself for who you are, you will stop having to seek validation from others, regardless of the type of validation. I think the most important part is to realize that at the end of the day, all you truly have is you. Yes, ideally, there are people in our lives that we love so much and we appreciate so much and we trust so much that we say, oh, those are our forever type of people. We're always gonna be friends. We're always gonna be on good terms. I think that that is beautiful, and we definitely should appreciate and love other people. But it's not a guarantee. The only guarantee you have is that you will have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. So in order to make that relationship between you and yourself a really nice one that you will actually enjoy having, you need to accept yourself with your flaws, with your imperfections. So how do you do that? Start making decisions by yourself and start trusting your intuition, start trusting your knowledge. You don't always need someone else's input. While it may be good to take opinions into account when making decisions, depending on the decision, you do not need someone else to tell you what to do when it comes to your own life. And relating to this, if you made a decision that was wrong or resulted in something going wrong, be accountable. Also, if it resulted in something right, be accountable for your decisions, be accountable for your mistakes, and own up to them. It's fine to make mistakes, but if you've made a mistake, try to fix it. Try to be mature, speak up, and fix it. Do something about it. Also, don't be afraid of taking in more responsibility. You are capable, and you should believe that you are capable. So it doesn't matter if it's volunteering, speaking up at university, taking on responsibility at work. Don't be afraid to do that. That is how you build even more trust in yourself, because you see that you can do difficult things. Even if at the beginning you thought that wouldn't be possible, you can do it. And you've shown that to yourself, and now you can do even more difficult things. And that just goes on and on and on. And that builds your self-confidence, and you won't feel the need to rely on others to tell you that you are capable and that you can do a certain thing. You already know that. It's within yourself. Self-compassion is such an important topic. The same way we would forgive others for their mistakes if they own up to them and they're responsible and they speak up, we should also forgive ourselves. Not everyone is perfect. Not everyone can be 100% of the time. We have days where we just might not feel our best. That's okay. We have days where we might make mistakes. That's okay. That doesn't make us a failure. If your friend comes to you and says, oh, I did this thing, I made a mistake, you wouldn't tell her that she's a failure, would you? So don't tell yourself that, because it's simply not true. Especially in the moments where we need it the most. So moments where life is difficult, where we need to make decisions or we need to figure out stuff that is just really difficult. That's when we need kindness the most, and we cannot rely on others to give us that kindness. They might also have a bad day. They might not be willing to be kind. So we need to be kind to ourselves. The ideal scenario is that we are very well aware of our strengths and of our imperfections and still accept ourselves. One part is definitely working on accepting our imperfections and maybe improving them if we can, but otherwise just accepting them. But another part is being aware of our strengths, and not in a show-offish way, but in a realistic way. We all have our strengths. If you don't know what your strengths are, make a list. Ideally, this would come from you. But if you truly cannot figure it out, ask people around you what your strengths are. I'm sure they will give you some answers. Write a list with your strengths and be very aware that you have so much to offer. If you struggle with your self-image one day, you can just look at that list and remind yourself of the countless strengths that you have, of all the positive attributes, of all the nice things you've ever done for yourself or for someone else. Maybe you just need to be reminded of that sometimes. The journey is not linear. There's gonna be ups and downs. Most likely you won't get rid of the need for external validation from one day to the other, and that's fine. That's just how it goes. The journey can also be beautiful. On days where negative beliefs take over, you need to challenge them. You need to remind yourself that what you are saying to yourself is not true. You have so many strengths. You do not need to listen to others. Just because someone told you years ago that you are not worthy or you are ugly or anything like that does not mean that that is true. We've already gone through the step of being self-aware, and now you are self-aware enough to be able to challenge those negative thoughts, to be able to say, no, that's not true. I know myself. I'm not lazy, I'm not ugly, I'm not unworthy. I know myself and I'm not that. Also, you need to question the evidence and the reasoning behind those thoughts, because external circumstances such as academics, jobs can bring up these negative feelings about ourselves. If we fail an exam, we get a bad grade, we don't get a job, we might say, oh, I'm a failure. That is not true. Why are you a failure? Because you didn't get a job. Does that truly make you a failure? If someone comes to you and is sad because they didn't get a job, you wouldn't tell them that they're a failure. You would tell them that there are so many other jobs that they just need to apply for. They just need to try, to continue, to not give up. Also, the fact that you got a bad grade doesn't make you a failure. You cannot rely on the academic validation to feel good about yourself. You need to feel good about yourself regardless of your grades, just because of who you are as a person. Grades can be worked on. You can retake exams, you can study more, you will do better. But you need to believe in yourself and you need to challenge these negative thoughts. It's really hard to validate ourselves if we are constantly around people who tell us we are not worthy, we are not good, who make us feel bad. Yes, ideally in that situation, if we're surrounded by negative people, we should still be able to validate ourselves and to know that their opinions are just opinions, they don't define us. We know who we are and we validate ourselves, but it just gets way harder. So if you can, try to distance yourself from negative people, from people who constantly try to degrade you, try to always show that they are better than everyone else. That's a damn problem. There's just a lot of people who feel the need to make others feel insecure so that they can feel secure about themselves. And those are the people that rely the most on external validation. That's a damn problem. And how to deal with these insecure people is gonna be a topic for another video. But try your best to spend the majority of your time with people who are truly uplifting. If you've reached a point where other people's opinions don't affect you anymore because you validate yourself and you know who you are, that doesn't mean that you should tolerate disrespect and you should tolerate people stepping over your boundaries. Just because someone's opinion doesn't bother you doesn't make it okay that they try to make you feel insecure, that they try to trigger you. That is not okay. That is a sign of disrespect. And if that's the case, then just say bye-bye, kisses, and goodbye. You shouldn't have to tell people how to treat you right and that they should be respectful. That's not okay. And that goes for relationships as well as friendships and also family. The third and last step is to validate yourself. You trust yourself and your opinions, and you have the courage to go for things and to pursue your goals. Don't wait for others to tell you how you should feel about something. If you go on a date and you don't like the person, there's no chemistry, you just get a weird feeling, you cannot put your finger on it, but it's not a vibe. That's how it is, that's how you feel about it. Trust your intuition. You don't need to call someone to explain to them in detail how the date went so that they can tell you that it's fine and you shouldn't worry and you should just give that person another chance and that you should feel better about that and that it's fine and you're gonna find someone. You don't need that. You know that just because it didn't work out with one person doesn't mean that you are not worthy or you are not beautiful enough or smart enough or funny enough. None of that. It just didn't work out with that one person. That's fine. That doesn't define your worth in any way. Trust yourself, trust your intuition. If you feel bad about a certain situation, if you just feel like something is off, trust that you are most likely right. It's just a subconscious feeling that tells you something that isn't very clear yet. It might become clear later on, but for now you need to trust your intuition and you will figure it out. Don't put people on a pedestal. I have done this so many times. And I felt like going back in time and just screaming at myself to stop doing this, because every single time I would put someone on a pedestal, months, weeks, doesn't matter, sometime later, I would just see them come falling down. and like truly crushing and burning down. And this happens because we judge people based on their potential, based on what we would do if we were in their shoes. And so this potential is more a representation of us than of them. They might not even be aware that they have this potential, and they're also clearly not aware of this beautiful image that we painted of them in our own head, of this really good impression that we have about them. Most likely, they will not live up to that potential. And so we put this person on a pedestal. We think this is the most wonderful person I've ever met. This person would never do something bad to me. This person would never betray me in any way, shape, or form. I can always trust this person. This is so beautiful and so wonderful and so magical. But then one day you realize that the potential of the person and who the person actually is doesn't align. And you will just look at that person and you will see them for who they truly are, and you won't see them for their potential anymore. And it's gonna be the complete opposite of magical. And at that point, truly the only person you can blame is yourself. But you shouldn't blame yourself. Just try to stop putting people on a pedestal. Stop trying to think that they are so wonderful and you can never be them and they're so magical. It's not true. See people for who they truly are. At the end of the day, it truly is you versus you. You can read all the books, watch all the videos, but unless you actually want to change and to work on your mindset, on the way you feel about yourself, nothing will change. You need to be willing to change and to continue improving. At the end of the day, you can be your own biggest supporter, your own biggest fan, or you can be your own biggest hater and worst enemy. So which one do you choose?